should you be scared of AI? It depends on which part of it you're looking at. I tend to focus on the business building aspect of it and the personal life make it easier aspect, but there are a lot of scary things out there. There are a lot of things going wrong. There needs to be regulations, there needs to be laws, there needs to be equity, there needs to be women on boards.
Hello, friends. This is Susan Shull, your host for the Clean Heart Club podcast. I'm a farm wife, mom, Grammy, holy yoga teacher, and Christian life coach. Clean Heart Club is the place for you if you want to learn to live in abundance and walk in freedom to be 100% your true self. I can't wait to share with you guided meditations and sacred story interviews with some of my favorite people. Wherever you are on your path, I'm excited to join hands as we allow our loving Heavenly Father to clean up our hearts and we start living the adventure of our lives with joy and gratitude. This is going to be fun. Welcome back, Clean Heart Club podcast listeners. I am so tickled that you are joining us today for a conversation that I have been looking forward to with my acquaintance, soon to be friend, Deanna Leonard. I am so excited to welcome her to the podcast today, and you guys are going to be blown away by what she's doing in the world. It seems just so out there, and I can't wait to find out all about it. So let's welcome Deanna Leonard to the Clean Heart Club podcast. Hello, friend.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, taking a chance on me. I am not your typical guest, I'm sure.
Everybody's my typical guest. I just want to talk to women who are walking in their true self and doing what they feel like God's leading them to do, and all the good, bad, and the ugly. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Maybe start with my family because we have some fun things going on. Yesterday was my 32nd wedding anniversary. Married to the same man for 3 decades plus 2 years. God bless him for dealing with the ups and downs and the all arounds. He's a great guy. So we have one son who is headed out to Portugal this weekend for his honeymoon. He got married in October and they held off the honeymoon to the summertime because he teaches and coaches. They live up in Buffalo. And so now I also have my very first daughter-in-law, my only daughter-in-law. And I'm very excited. They're going to have a lovely time. So that's family life. We have 2 dogs, both rescues, both lazy. Both you might hear because it's getting a little close to dinner time. So you might hear them in the background. From a work perspective, I was in corporate for over 30 years, retired a little bit early.
What did you do in the corporate world?
What I wanted to do was to do graphic design and art and fashion design. And what my dad wanted me to do was not live in the street. And he thought any kind of art field would cause you not to be able to be financially sound. So I majored in engineering and I graduated with a very general studies degree with a minor in engineering and math, mechanical engineering.
But you're a smart cookie.
It was interesting. I ended up in business, but in the business that was related to art and fashion, and I loved it. So I worked for companies like Hanes, so like Hanes Tagless Tees, those kinds of things. And they told me if I wanted to really excel, I needed to go get my MBA, and they funded my MBA. So I studied at Duke. I studied their global MBA program and traveled all over the world, 8 different countries while I got my MBA. So I've had a really incredible, and I'm really grateful for the corporate career I had because it taught me so much and I met so many incredible people along the way.
Oh my goodness, that sounds fascinating. So you're a world traveler. Can you tell our listeners how traveling changes a person?
Oh, wow. You get so many new perspectives, right? Depending on where you go. At least I did along the way. The other thing I found with working for big corporations, as you get older, sometimes it can get more difficult to slow it down because they're so used to the output that you do when you're younger. And we all, at some point, need to slow down. So part of the reason I decided to retire early is I had a health scare, a pretty big one, which gets a little bit into the story of faith. And I tell this story on LinkedIn in a newsletter that I wrote. I started writing a newsletter to celebrate women in creativity and AI and telling their stories and sharing their artwork. And finally, someone that I interviewed said to me, "Why don't you tell your story and why you do what you do?" And that's when I first told it. And then I started telling it on stages. And then female leadership coaches that have known me over the years would invite me to come speak to their female leadership groups because they work with executives that are on the edge of burnout. And that's what happened to me is I burned out and I got sick and I'm lucky to be here, to be honest. And so I tell my story from start to finish on stage, and usually it makes most people cry. And usually it makes quite a few women come up and talk to me afterwards about how they don't want that to happen to them and how do they stop it? How do they live at the pace of grace, which is kind of the mantra that goes on in my head quite a bit. How do I slow it down and live at the pace of grace?
So how do people do that?
It's not easy. So luckily we have people like you in the world. Luckily we have people like Dr. Edie in the world that help us change our mindset, that we don't have to work so hard and worry so much. I'll give you just a teaser to that story. And this is where I think my faith started to become more my own, although I think I'm still on the journey. I was actually driving my SUV to go meet a friend for coffee. Both she and I had just been part of a downsize where the entire executive team lost their positions with the company except for one person. And we were meeting for coffee to figure out what the heck we were going to do next. I was so worried about that because I was the provider for my family for a lot of years. And as I was driving, I heard this voice in the back seat and it told me to turn around. And when I did, there was no one back there. But when I turned back around and looked in the rearview mirror, I noticed that my face was dripping and I was having a stroke. So I was having a stroke while I was driving a car. So, and the story goes on from there as to what happened and the healing process and how I now believe, the more I think about it and the more I tell the story, that that was the voice of God. That was the voice telling me to, whoa. And it wasn't just a metaphor. It was like, do that right now. But also maybe you need to turn around and look at your life and think a little differently and maybe prioritize some things differently.
Wow. So you retired early from the corporate world.
I did. I retired about, well, my financial advisor would say a decade too early. I would say about 3 years too early. But I took 3 years ago, I left and I took a year. I got healthy. I recovered. I got clearance from a doctor to go on an adventure that my husband had always wanted to do. And for those listeners that you have in Iowa, they will know what this is. It's called RAGBRA, which is Register's Annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa. So my husband and I rode our bikes in July in triple-digit heat, 517 miles across Iowa with 30,000 other riders at their 50th anniversary.
Oh my
And
goodness.
there's no way I should have been able to, as a stroke survivor, do something like that. But it's amazing when you reprioritize your health, just how healthy you can really get. So, yeah.
Our brother-in-law has ridden in that multiple times. And yeah, so I've heard about it.
I'm sure you've heard the stories.
I'm thinking that I followed you on social media when you were doing that.
I did post on LinkedIn. I had quite a following, actually. I had a lot of people like waiting for the next little write-up because every day I tried to post something about it and pictures. And it is a rolling set of laughter. And it is people from all over the world. I met people from New Zealand on that ride. It was amazing. So I still don't know how we did it. And I often tell the story, oh, I was so excited because I retired and I thought we were going to go lay by the beach in the Caribbean. No, instead, we chose Iowa and we chose to ride our bike in triple-digit heat, right? And it wasn't like we slept in an Airbnb. No. It was like army tents in the heat.
So you actually stayed in a tent.
Oh, yeah, for 7 days. And I don't know if many people know what it's like to have Lycra on for 7 days and have to use porta potties in triple-digit heat. I mean, the whole thing was just, it's checked off my bucket list. I'm good. The next
Wow.
the next major ride we do is going to involve some beautiful place in Europe where the food is lovely and we can stay in a place that, maybe is a little cooler than a tent in a cornfield.
Will you ride an electric bike?
Maybe, especially if there's mountains involved, maybe. We don't own
Oh
one. We
my
own a lot of
goodness.
bikes, but we don't own an electric one. So,
Well, I have one and I really like it.
yeah. No, I think they're great.
It's
I
fun.
think bikes of all kinds are great. I mean, I really do think they make a difference for people. So,
Yes. Okay, so what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know from that bike ride?
oh wow. When I first the first day I was scared to death. 30,000 people is a lot of people on bikes that probably shouldn't all be on bikes. And the reality is my longest training ride before that was 25 miles and we averaged between 60 and 100 miles a day on the bike. So I learned that even though there was no way I should have been able to do that, I was still able to do that. So it's amazing what's possible with the right people in your life, with the right mindset. The other thing I learned is pickle juice can be a lifesaver. For those of you that don't know, when your electrolytes go down, which quite often happens on this ride, there are pickle juice stands all along the way, and you can buy a little shot of pickle juice, and it brings you back to life from an electrolyte perspective. So that was
Oh
kind of a
my
funny learning.
goodness.
Yeah.
So after training and recovering from your stroke and doing this bike ride, you came into my life through Life Mentoring School.
I did.
And I think we've actually met in person, haven't we?
Well, one time, I think you were fairly new and I was fairly new. I think it was at Dr. Edie's
Love
Love
is
is Magic
Magic.
conference, right? And I
Yes,
remember just looking
yes.
at you in awe. I'm like, oh, she's so smart. No, seriously, like I was in awe of you, for sure. For
Oh
sure, for
my
sure.
gosh, that's so funny. Well, thank you. That's so
You're
sweet of
welcome.
you. And then I started seeing all these things that you were doing. So I'm fascinated by that. But before we get into that,
Sure.
you talked about your faith.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about your faith journey.
Yeah, so it's been a rocky one. I don't know that I'm anywhere near done or as knowledgeable as I could or should be. Luckily, I'm married to a man who
Same.
absolutely is, and teaches me a lot every day and grounds me quite a bit every day. He has a lot of fundamentalist Christians that he really loves to follow on YouTube and different channels, and there's always something I'm learning. And he has a lot of authors that he loves, some of the same authors that Dr. Edie reads. So we have all those books in the house. So my faith journey up until getting married to him was pretty rocky, pretty rough childhood, so it's pretty rocky. Um, and then once we got married, along the way, it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think that the biggest turning point for me was the whole incident of having a stroke and realizing I was getting another chance. And I was so grateful and lucky to be alive. So, at any time now, when I worry about something, which I think is one of the lessons of faith, is learning not to worry. I still to this day struggle with it every single day. Every single day. So I think I'm still on the journey.
We are all still on the journey, aren't we?
Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
have any like spiritual practices that you do every day or
So I wish I could say I was super good and do everything in my 90-day journal, but I don't. What I love to do is to listen to several different podcasts, including yours and Dr. Edie's, as I
oh,
walk around the block. Meditation, journaling. One of the things that I think one of the girls at Love is Magic taught me was as you get up in the morning, when you put your feet on the floor, it's a chance for gratitude. So when the right foot goes down, thank left foot you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for another day to make a difference. Thank you for another day to be here. So just little things like that.
I love that. That's gratitude is so important for sure.
Yeah,
For
for
sure.
sure.
Okay, so I know that you are, well, you tell us what are you involved in now?
So once I got home from the bike ride and I was still semi-retired, I thought, okay, what now? I've got to take a class. I've got to do something. So I just started taking classes online, trying to figure out what I could do next on the side while we tried to sell our house, because we wanted to downsize and move to Arkansas, which still hasn't happened. We don't know what reason, but we know there's a plan. We don't know what the plan is, but we know there's a plan. Um, and I stumbled into three different classes around artificial intelligence, which is very controversial, I know. But one of the classes literally lit up my creativity. So I learned how to create imagery and illustrate stories and tell stories and use all the branding expertise I had from my corporate years, and create new branding campaigns. So now um, I excelled at it so fast, I had one of my instructors hire me to coach other women to do that. So I recently coached 30 different women individually to learn different AI tools to launch their own businesses. And it's usually midlife women that I work with, simply because those are the women that are like, okay, I'm done with the corporate stuff. I've raised my kids. Now what do I do? Or they're burned out, they're tired, they want to do something differently. So I had the best clients. So 29 women and one husband, one man.
Wow.
Um, and it was great. And I found myself starting to burn out again because I was spending so much time with them. So again, had to check myself. So I gave my notice there and started just doing a little bit of my own thing, and got hired by She Is AI, which started out as a magazine and now has turned into a movement that really focuses on helping lift women up, helping them find their voice, and helping them learn tools to make their lives easier. So that's what I do now. And along the
Yes.
way, I created a lot of imagery and entered a lot of contests and did a lot of just fun things that got my creativity going again. So I will tell you, learning these tools, I've watched these women light up. These women that were artists as kids, but put that all away to take care of everybody, just like we all do. And they were starting to find their creativity again. So I think this is what you're referring to. One of the contests I entered one night, I didn't even think twice about. And it was for a magazine out of Spain called Creativa. Again, didn't think twice about it. And then I got a note one weekend saying, oh, congratulations, you're one of 25 that have been selected to be in the magazine. I thought, oh, isn't that nice? Then the next day I got a note that said, oh, and by the way, it's not just a magazine. Your artwork's going to be on tour all over Spain, Portugal, France. And then the final stop is next week on Wednesday in Times Square on the marquees. All 25 of us are going to be up on the marquees. So yesterday I booked my ticket to take a picture, or have someone take a picture of me in front of my artwork on the marquee. It,
Oh my
it just
God.
is the craziest thing ever. So anyway, so that's what I do now is I laugh a lot, I play a lot, and I do a lot of fun things with AI, lifting other women up so that they can launch their businesses and do their things.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had not, I hadn't had any experience whatsoever with AI until the last few months.
You're
And
pretty typical. Actually, you're ahead of the curve.
really,
Yeah,
and
really.
it's so helpful and also scary to me.
Yes. Yes. And to a lot of people, including my husband. We have a lot of talks about that. Yeah.
So tell me why I shouldn't be scared.
Okay, so well, let's talk a little bit about that. So, super great question, Susan. And one of the first talks I gave about this whole when EI meets AI, which is kind of where I tend to land, when you're the person
What's
you are,
EI?
the emotional intelligence that you have matched
Mhm.
with the artificial intelligence to make your life easier, that's where the magic, the secret sauce is, in my opinion. And anytime I get on stage, I talk a little bit about that. I talk about that little girl that I was that wanted to be a graphic designer that used to draw Mickey Mouse on folders and charge 25 cents, who now has a digital image going up in Times Square. Like, what a journey over 6 decades, right? Um, but when I get on stage and I talk about like basic stuff that, for instance, I was at the Women's Conference of Florida in Tampa last October, I think it was. And I just talked about creating menus for the week, or having it be your personal assistant to arrange your schedule to tell you what you need to do that day, that kind of stuff. And the first question I always get is, how does someone your age learn AI? I'm like, okay. First of all, it doesn't discriminate against age. And the cool thing about being a woman over 40, over 50, over 60, by the way, I trained women in their 70s. In that
Awesome.
group of 30, we're in their 70s. It, it's it's your life experience that you bring to it that makes a difference. Should you be scared of AI? It depends on which part of it you're looking at. I tend to focus on the business building aspect of it and the personal life make it easier aspect, but there are a lot of scary things out there. There are a lot of things going wrong. There needs to be regulations, there needs to be laws, there needs to be equity, there needs to be women on boards, women programming. We need not to be left behind into the dark ages, and we need not to use it for things that it shouldn't be being used for, and it is being used for. So just like anything else, there's a good side and there's a bad side. The other big thing I will tell you that I get asked is, am I going to lose my job to AI? 6 months ago, I would say, no, you're going to lose your job to someone who knows how to use the tools. Now I would say, yeah, there is a chance, depending on what you do, that you're going to lose your job. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to be an ostrich and put your head in the sand? Or are you going to figure out the best way for you to use it in your life so that doesn't happen to you? That's the best answer I have for the fear question.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I feel
Sure.
like I used to look at my grandma and think, wow, she experienced so many technology changes over her lifetime. And then we have a picture. I don't want to talk about myself, but we have a picture
No,
of my
please.
we have a picture of my granddad with his team of horses that he used to farm. And of course, you might know that we're like, I don't know, at least fifth generation farmers. And we look at those pictures of my granddad with his two horses, and then I look out and see the tractors that my son is using to do the same job, actually, raise food for America. And it's like, it just seems mind-boggling. And then I think of the technology changes my mom and dad went through. And then I feel like we're at the cusp
Of the next revolution of technology. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like, wow, we are witnessing something that's going to change people's lives.
It already is. It's already affecting it. It's in the news every day. And whenever I get up and I went and I spoke at UNCG, University of North Carolina, Greensboro, to their fashion students about it, because the dean there asked me to come in and talk a little bit about how it's going to affect fashion going forward and how it's going to affect artists going forward. And what's funny is I can remember when I graduated, I took a 2-year program after college on advertising art. And it was the year the Apple Mac was introduced. And everybody was against it because it was cheating. You can't do art with a computer. What? You can't do that. And Photoshop became a regular for everybody. So did Adobe Illustrator. Same thing here. A lot of the purists, of course, digital art's not art. Same thing. It's almost like it's repeated. And that was 30, 40 years ago. So, I don't know. I think we are on the cusp of something big, and I want to stay on the good side of it. And I want to help women, especially midlife women, succeed and have easier lives and not burn out. And if I can leverage AI to do that, I'm going to do that.
I love that. How is it? How are you using it? Well, I know I've seen some of the pictures that you've designed, and they're dreamy.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So are your pictures, the contests that you won, are they being shown in Times Square as art?
They're digital. I call it digital art because I do think there's purist art too, right? So what's really cool about a lot of the galleries in New York, and I'm sure it's around the country too, it's just I happen to be being shown in galleries in New York, um, they just have opened up another category. So they still show all the beautiful pottery, all the beautiful watercolors, all the beautiful different types of media, and then they have another category called digital art. Because just because you can use AI doesn't mean necessarily you're going to create something beautiful. It takes training as well. So I'm being shown in 3 galleries right now, and I'm in several different contests that I haven't heard yet what's going to happen. But it's not just the galleries. I also use it to create websites, which is another funny story, Susan, because um, when I was in Dr. Edie's program, my cohort knows me as the woman who cried because she couldn't figure out how to make a website. And now I design them for other people and charge money for it, which is
Wow.
hilarious. Because AI has helped me figure that out as well, and branding and all that kind of stuff. So I use it for a lot of different things. I use it to teach and train. I use it to lift other people up. I use it to do websites. I use it to get ready to publish my first book, which is more of a picture book motivating young women to let go of self-doubt, right? I shared a little snippet of it with
It's
you. So
beautiful.
thank you. Getting there. We're really close. I'm this close to
Oh,
pulling the trigger on that one.
so will you publish that? How will you publish your book?
I don't know. I was thinking I might do a self-publish on that one and then just put it as a workbook on my website when I finally launch my website, which by the way, I've launched other people's, but still have yet to launch mine. I have a little art website and that's it. So when I finally do publish a website, I'll probably put it on there. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still kind of figuring
So
that out.
if you had some words of encouragement for my listeners
Okay.
as women, what would you say to them?
Probably the last person that should be giving advice. I've made so many mistakes in my life. Um, I So my husband has this skit that he loves to watch. It's probably your listeners probably aren't going to know who this is, but Bob Newhart. I don't know if you remember Bob Newhart.
I
He has a
remember
funny
Bob
little
Newhart.
skit where he
Yeah.
is a psychiatrist and this woman comes in and dumps all her problems on him, and then he charges her, I think, $25, and his advice is to stop it. So anytime I spiral down that, oh, we got to do this, my husband will just say, just stop it. Stop thinking like that. Stop doing that. Just take a breath and just stop it. So one of the things I am trying to learn to do is to take a pause before I go down a rabbit hole. My mind, and I think a lot of women's minds, we tend to be thinking about 25 different things at once. I have a picture out there called 11 things before coffee in the morning because I wake up with 11 things on my mind, right? I think a lot of us as women do because we're trying to balance it all. So taking a pause, taking a breather, and being a little kinder to yourself. And all things I've learned from both my husband and from Dr. Edie and from people like you, Susan. You do a beautiful job.
Mm, so good. Pause before you go down the rabbit hole. I
Just take a breath.
That's so good. That's so good. Do you have any of your work handy that you could hold
Oh
up
my
so
gosh.
people could see it?
Um, I I could. Hey Barry, honey, could you go grab the Creativa magazine in the office behind where I sit? Grab one of those and I'll show them one of my pieces of work. I could have sent you some stuff digitally. I should have done that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a ton published. Most of it is online, and they can go check me out on LinkedIn. I post a lot. I try to post once or twice a day. Um, I post a little bit on Facebook, more family stuff, and I don't really play much on Instagram because, I'm over 60. We don't play there. That's for the young folks.
Oh my. I like Instagram.
Well, you must be under 60 then.
Well, I'm actually not. I'm
I
actually
like
not.
Instagram too. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah. I would love to know more about LinkedIn.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Well, why should I have a LinkedIn profile?
Okay, so great question. I am finding where my art is in this magazine. My husband just handed it to me. Um, I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well, but the title of the article is Hope Renewed, but she imagined more as a catalyst for women's creative rebirth. And this is the image that's going up on Times Square. And the whole thing was supposed to be about what does the future look like in fashion? And I just had some fun with it and created these crazy bug-looking women just for fun. I really did not think they would get chosen, but they did. There's 10 of them in here.
Oh,
So
wow.
anyway,
Okay. So you'll send me all your links and we can send people to look at your stuff. Yeah.
Happy to. So LinkedIn. So I was asked to teach a little bit about LinkedIn for Secret AI Society as well as for She Is AI. Secret AI Society, I've worked for in the past. That's where I coached all those women. And She Is AI, I'm their Chief Communication Officer as we launch globally. We've got 95 ambassadors around the world. We've got 20 different partners. And we're doing some pretty cool stuff on LinkedIn, as well as on all the platforms. But the reason I'm on LinkedIn is because I was in corporate for 30 years. So that's where most of my crowd is. That's where most people who know me and need to get a hold of me are there. And the reason I was asked to teach a course on AI on LinkedIn is because people didn't realize that that is not just a place to go find a job. That's the misperception behind LinkedIn. A lot of people think, oh, well, when I need my next job, I go to LinkedIn and I see what's been posted. It's so much more than that. It is a place to make connections. There are groups. For instance, if you love to garden, there's a ton of gardening groups on LinkedIn.
Really?
If you would be surprised what's on there. But what's interesting is there are so many professionals on LinkedIn, professionals that are looking for solutions for different things. So when I started posting about AI and branding and storytelling, I didn't realize who was watching. And I had one woman in particular, I've had several reach out to me for different things, but one in particular reached out to me and wanted me to call her and wanted me to call her and wanted me to call her. And I was just avoiding it because I knew what industry she was in. And it was the industry that killed my mom. It was tobacco. So I adored her, but I just didn't want to do anything for that industry. Well, what I didn't realize is that she was no longer in that industry and she wanted to hire me to do a back to school campaign. So you just never know who's watching. And I do a lesson a week on LinkedIn, how to post, how often to post, what to say, how to be your authentic self, because I don't think you should be the business professional if that's not who you are. You should be yourself because people are looking for everything on LinkedIn. So I think it would be wonderful to have you on LinkedIn. And I do not think there are enough people of faith talking about their faith on LinkedIn. I sprinkle it in every now and then, and I have several people I follow that sprinkle it in. Suzanne Dickey does a good job of it. She's very good on LinkedIn talking about her faith. Suzanne Dickey, another person from
Really? Oh, yeah, she's in my encounter group.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yes,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, she's doing a really nice job. So people are sparsely putting it in there on occasion. And I follow a lot of those people because they're very inspiring to me.
Well, I'm going to check it out. So is LinkedIn, is it free to
It is free.
Be in there and free to?
It's absolutely free.
Okay.
It's absolutely free. If you wanted to have a sales navigator, that cost X amount a month, but I don't do any of that. I just crossed over last week 5,000 followers, which isn't a lot. There are people that have hundreds of thousands of followers. There are 1 billion people posting on LinkedIn. 1 billion. Somewhere in there is a customer of yours. Somewhere in there is someone that you can help. Someone is there in there as a potential client. So it's just a matter of finding them.
That's interesting.
I think the #2 platform in the world. I've got all the stats in that lesson I sent over to you guys.
Okay. So. I'm going to check that out.
Well, anytime. I'm happy to do a free masterclass for you guys. You just let me know and give you kind of the basics if you guys want to.
Oh my goodness. That would be awesome.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it.
So Deanna, what is the legacy that you're wanting to leave? What is driving you at this stage of your life?
Oh my gosh, Susan, that was not on the prep sheet.
It was not on the sheet. All the best questions are not on the sheet.
Right. It's a beautiful question because here's the thing. I used to think, and I think it's because of how I grew up, I used to think the legacy I wanted to leave is that I had a huge financial nest egg for my kids, now kids, husband and wife. that was the only thing that mattered, that they were taken care of when I was gone. And the reality is, my son, during his wedding, it was another turning point for me in my faith too. I think the first time I exhaled as a mother was at his wedding, when I realized he was going to be okay. He had this beautiful family that he married into. He had this beautiful friendship network that he had built all over Buffalo. These people that kept coming up to me and telling me how much they adored him. And I remember sitting there going, oh my gosh, he's going to be all right. I don't have to worry anymore. And I know as moms, we're still going to worry, right? But it was the first realization that I don't have to leave him millions of dollars. I don't have to worry about being perfect. I don't have to worry about anything. So the legacy I want to leave is for him to be happy and healthy. That's it. That's what's driving me right now. So,
and that's an inside job of his.
You're right. It is. It is. So if I can live in this creativity, I call this my chapter 3. This is kind of my creative chapter. If I can live in this creativity and help other women find their happy place, I'm in good shape.
So good.
That's my legacy.
How has resistance shown up in your life? How did you fight through it to get to where you are today?
No, I'm still fighting through it. I don't know if your listeners will identify with this at all, but I quite often have arguments with myself about whether I'm worthy enough to do this or worthy enough to treat myself to that. I had one last night when I was debating on whether to buy the ticket to New York to see my thing go up in Times Square. It's like, does it matter? It's just a piece of art. Do I really need to spend the money on a ticket? This happens all the time. And I think, I don't want to cry, but this has been a really hard year of me trying to figure out, where am I going and what am I doing next? And I have so many good friends that have helped me along the way, but I've also lost so many good friends along the way because I've been so hard on myself and so hard on them. So this is resistance comes up all the time for me, all the time.
And it comes up for all of us.
Girl.
And a lot of times it keeps us from doing the very thing.
Stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
Stuck. Especially for women, right? Because we're so used to putting everyone else first. And there are many times where I've been asked to speak, and I end up speaking about the women I'm coaching versus speaking about myself, until I had a good friend say, what are you doing? Stop that. Why don't you put yourself in that presentation? I'll give you one other example. There's a lovely photographer from India that wrote a book called 100 Moms, and it's 100 selfies and their story. So they take their picture and they write a one-page story. And I thought the book was so beautiful. Well, I'm in volume 2. And when I read what I had to do, I started to realize I'm not in any of my pictures from about the time my son was 5 or 6, because we as moms are taking the pictures. We don't even think about it until we start looking back on it and going, uh-oh. So putting myself in the picture.
Yeah, I have 7 we have 7 grandkids now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
And I ask my husband to take a picture of me with them, because I want them to know that I was there too.
That's the whole point of the book, is the mom gets to tell the story. And as I started to write the story, I realized I wasn't writing about me. I was writing about everybody else, because that's how we grow up, right? So anyway.
So I love what you're putting out into the world, Deanna.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I'm encouraged that in the times that we live in, that it doesn't matter what chapter of your life you're on. We get to try new things. We get to participate in what's happening if we want to. I mean, I feel like we have freedom that maybe our moms didn't have 100%. that our grandmas didn't have.
Sure.
And I want to steward mine well. And I'm sure you do too.
I love that. And I'll bet your grandkids are very happy about that you have that mindset.
No, I hope they are. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them. They're great. They're great kids for sure. So let's end our little conversation by sharing. I would love to ask you this is metaphorically speaking, what is going and what is staying in your life?
So what is going is the worry. I work on it every day. What is staying is the pace of grace, the joy, the laughter, the fun, the friendships, the family, the faith.
Yeah. I love that. That is beautiful. What are you reading now?
So I knew you were going to ask that one. I am a reader. I have stacks of books by my bed, in my office. I'm constantly reading more than one at once. So one of my clients who I absolutely adore, Cynthia White, who is a minister's wife, wrote the book called Rest and Build, talking about the power of resting because we all work so hard. And it's a lovely book. It's a short book, a lovely book about living in your faith and taking the time to rest. And then total opposite of that, I'm reading The War of Art, which is a great book for anyone who's creative, who has tried to figure out how to make a living with art. So those are the two I'm reading right now.
And that book talks about resistance, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, that little voice in the head, right? It's almost like you have the positive angel on one side and the not so one on the other all day long for me.
Oh, so good. So next week, your art is appearing in Times Square.
Yeah. Yes, I will be in Times Square, and I will be going to a couple different galleries in New York while I'm there, and I will be interviewing a bunch of people at a conference for She Is AI. It's going to be really fun, but I'm also going to be by myself, which I haven't taken a trip by myself in a while. So it's going to be a really interesting time. Even though it's really busy and it's really creative, I think I'm going to have a lot of time to reflect, which will be nice.
So good. So good. Do you just want to pinch yourself that this is your life, or is this no surprise to you?
All the time. In fact, I often post on LinkedIn, pinch me, I'm in another gallery. Pinch, because it really, I don't know, I feel very lucky. And like I said, I feel like I got a second chance 10 years ago. I was 51 when I had my stroke, 9 years ago. I got a second chance.
Oh, wow. Well, we're so blessed that you're well, and that you're creating, and that you were able to talk to us today. I really appreciate it. If you had any words of wisdom for my listeners to close with, what would you say to them?
If there is something, one little thing that they have always wanted to do, write it down and do it. Put it on your calendar. And I believe this is advice you've given as well. And I believe this is advice Dr. Edie has given. Do it in the next 90 days. Schedule it. Do it. Because you never know if you're going to be driving your car one day, right? And you hear a voice in the back seat to turn around. I don't want that to happen to anyone. So do it.
So good. Okay, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. And Deanna, thank you so much. It's been so fun to talk to you. And I can't wait to learn more from you and to be inspired by you. And we'll have to do a recap or whatever, part 2, to find out what you're doing next.
Anytime. And thank you for inspiring me on a regular basis. I really appreciate it, Susan.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Bye, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Clean Heart Club podcast. I hope that you were blessed and learned some things that will help you on your journey. Let's remember this truth from Psalm 28:7. The Lord is my strength and shield. I trust him with all my heart. He helps me, and my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in songs of thanksgiving. Did you know I wrote a course for you? It's called the Clean Heart Club and contains 10 video teachings about some of my favorite life coaching concepts, which are so helpful. You're also invited to come join the fun in the Clean Heart Club group on Facebook and sign up to receive my weekly newsletter of encouragement. Let's be friends. See you next time.